Last time I spoke with you, we were running through two of my weaker colonies testing for mites.
0 mites. There's 3 there. There's 3 mites right there, but that's not bad at all.
As you know, my goal is to breed a bee that can manage varroa on their own without any help or chemicals from the beekeeper. But in order for anyone to do that, you need to have numbers. Winter is coming, and I don't have the genetics I need in order to start trials on my colonies yet, which means any colonies with a mite load above 3% are in danger of collapse. And my goal is to come out of winter with little to no losses. I have still never lost a colony after 3 years of beekeeping and hope to keep that streak going at least until I start my breeding program. That way, when the snow melts in the spring, I can start the next phase of my expansion. I know to some people this all probably sounds insane and very risky, but our bees are a lot smarter than you think they are. And I'm not going to give up until I got it figured out. So let the journey begin. Took myself a much needed lunch break, but we are back now and we have 9 hives that we need to do alcohol washes on. So that way I get a rough number of how many mites are in the hive. Personally, I like knowing so that I can keep an eye on it because I don't just blanket treat all of my hives. I only treat the ones that need to be treated. So let's get to work. So I keep mentioning these gloves to you guys and how much I love them, and I never told you what they are. So all they are just black nitrile gloves that I got from Walmart. They come in a box of like 100 of them. And it's the brand that has a spider on the box. I get this brand just because they're a little thicker than other ones, so I don't have to worry about the bees singing through them. But it makes it so much easier to dig into your hives, and the bees are so much calmer because I'm not banging things around. I'm not squishing them or anything. So go get yourself a box because these things are great. So this is the colony that I was talking about that I was digging into, and I found that they had 60 mites. This is hive number 8, but we are gonna call her Lucy because you know that horror story Lucy, and this hive is a horror story knowing that they had at least 60 mites in their alcohol wash or Dawn dish soap wash. So yeah, I put in 2 strips of Apivar for now, so we're gonna see how that goes. I also have a oxalic acid vaporizer coming that I got from a very good company called the Blythewood Bee Co. So I'm excited to see how that goes. But for the meantime, the Apivar strips I guess they'll do for now, and I will keep you guys updated on the mite issue in this colony. It seems like Lucy's been having problems since day one. First they have a queen with her leg broken. Now they have a very high mite load. So let's hope that it turns around. All right, so my first testing colony, hive number 2. So we're looking at 3 mites. Last time I checked on this hive, we only had 1, so that's not bad at all. Okay, so for hive number 3, we're looking at only 1 mite, and last time I checked on this hive, they had 0, so we're looking pretty good. Even though I had that one really high colony, I'm still so shocked that Lucy was so high. Like, the last time I had checked on her, she had 6 mites a month ago, exactly a month ago. And then when I checked on her this last time, she has 60, over 60. So I'm kind of wondering if there's something off about that hive, because that just seems outrageous. Now, there's no brood in that hive, and because like I said, this was the queen that her back leg is broken, so I replaced their queen. So they had a week, around 2 weeks or so of no brood. So I'm wondering if maybe that's just because there's all these mites on the bees because there's nowhere for them to hide. So maybe that's why it's so high. But yeah, just insane, because all of my other hives, they are barely even going up at all. And yes, I know there's drifting and everything, but this is exactly why I check all of my hives and don't just blanket treat, because as you're seeing, a lot of these other hives are under 5, and why would I treat if it's under 5 and possibly ruin the whole entire health and ecosystem inside the hive? Because fun fact, guys, this is another reason why I don't want to treat. Bees are a lot like us, so they have beneficial bacteria, they have beneficial mites that live on them. There are a lot of beneficial things that are inside that hive, thousands of them, that when you use a miticide, you're killing all of those too. And all of those beneficial bugs, mites, bacteria, whatever, all of them help the bees fight and combat viruses and different sicknesses. So it's pretty important for them to be in the hive. So when you treat with a miticide, you're lowering the immune system of that colony, and they're not going to have a chance to fight whatever virus they may have. That is one thing that I saw, that after I treated with Formic, I started seeing this chronic bee paralysis virus start popping up in my colonies. All my colonies looked perfect. They did not have any viruses besides maybe sac brood and a couple. But none of them had this chronic bee paralysis virus until after I treated. So it makes me wonder if they had it the whole time, but now they're showing symptoms because they don't have a way to fight it off themselves. So there's another thing to think about. Jesus! Can you guys see this? This is like, this colony, or this genetic, definitely has a nervous tick, dude. This same genetic is the same genetic as what my strongest colony is, but is also my most aggressive colony. They definitely have a nervousness, because this is insane. Alright guys, I get it. I get it, you're pissed, I know. Can you see how many of them are pecking my hands? They can't get through these gloves. Okay, so that colony came back at 6 mites. So, oh my gosh. You see this? Like, this is why I wear a suit. They are pissed, and I use smoke, but for some reason, that genetic, they just, man. It's alright, in the spring, they're getting cut. But, alright, so yeah, last time came back at 2 mites, this time 6, so getting a little up there. I will be hitting this hive with OA then, because anything above 5 mites this time of year, I don't like to see that, because it's going to double in a month, and that is the most crucial time when they're going into winter. That will be October, and it'll keep doubling. So it'll hit its peak when the bees are at their weakest, so I don't like that. So, really? So, yeah, going to be hitting that one with OA for sure. So my next one was supposed to be number 7, but I actually forgot that this one has had a brood break because I accidentally took their queen. So, and right now they still have a virgin queen in there. She is not laying yet. So I'm not even going to disturb them. I'm going to wait on that. But remember, like I said, brood breaks really make a difference. So it'll be interesting to see what their number is after she's laying. There's 14 of them there. And I can see a female mite in there too. She is the lighter colored mite. If you can see it. Great. But I have 2 more strips left of Apivar, so I'll put those in there. I'm noticing that all of the nukes that I bought in July, they build up really quickly, but in terms of mites, they don't have any resistance whatsoever. Now, the bees that I have, they're Saskatras, and they actually have been managing their mites on their own pretty well. I see that they uncap a lot of the brood. So the brood pattern doesn't always look great. When I was first looking at it, I was kind of alarmed because I was like, oh man, this must be PMS, because those are the symptoms of PMS. But they could also be confused with hygienic behavior. So I'm noticing that even if I have a low mite load in my Saskatraz hives, they are still going to have that uncapped brood, and they're going to have bald brood. So yeah, it's interesting to see that that is actually a way of being hygienic as well. So this is my first time using Apivar. I've always been a Formic kind of girl, but since it's so late in the year and I still need these colonies to build up another deep of comb and everything so they can store it for the winter, I can't afford the brood loss that comes with using Formic. And also I did use Formic in July, so you're not supposed to use the same thing because you could develop resistance. It could not be as effective. So this colony has not been treated with Formic before, but I have one more Apivar strip that I'm going to put in here, or one more Apivar dose. So that is what I'm going to do, I suppose. Man. So this is what they look like. They're 2 little strips, and you just take them and you have to tear them, and they have like a little clip thing. I tried those, but they didn't really work. So what I do is I find myself a dried up piece of grass. You could use nails, but I always forget to have nails with me. I need to put some in my car, but I just break up a little piece, break this in half, and there's a little hole at the top of that tab, and I slide it through the hole and put it in the hive. I'll show you real fast. Alright, so on the package it does say do not space more than 2 frames in between them. I'm probably going to bite myself in the butt for not listening to that, but the issue with this is that these 2 frames are completely empty. But you want to put it next to brood frames, and you want to use this little stick so that the bees can crawl on either side of this tape, because the only way this works is if a bee touches it and then they pass it to another bee, just because it rubs off onto their body, and then they can rub it off into another bee. So you want to have this next to brood frames so that when your brood hatches and it comes out of the cell, or it's crawling around feeding brood, doing whatever, they rub up against this strip. So you want to have one in the back and you want to have one in the front. The reason I put them so far apart are these 2 are empty. That one's filled, and then that one's filled. But yeah, these 2 are empty, and I don't really want to put it right next to an empty frame because it could impact the way they build the comb. So I don't know. This is my first time using it, so just showing you how I'm doing it. So at first I didn't really like the Saskatraz breed just because I thought they weren't that productive. At least in comparison to my Italians, but Italians kick butt when it comes to productivity, which is understandable. So yeah, so I didn't really know how I felt about them, and I was always seeing like uncapped broods, so I was like, man, these are like really like finicky when it comes to like diseases and stuff. But they're growing on me because I'm noticing, like I said, all of my Saskatraz hives, they are dealing with varroa a lot easier than the other ones. They always have low mite loads, and that's why I'm seeing that uncapped brood. So I guess I could probably suggest the Saskatraz breed. They actually live up to what they are made for, to be mite resistant. Now the next thing they're supposed to be made for is really good overwintering abilities, so we'll see how that goes this winter and how good they are. So yeah, as you can see with this genetic, the nukes, one of the nukes that I had bought went from 3 to 14 in 1 month. My other colonies are only going up maybe by like 2 mites in 1 month. So definitely not the genetic that I want, but I got these because I was wanting to expand because I need numbers. That is the key to going treatment free. But yeah, you guys see as I do that. One other thing that I noticed that I do not like about this Apivar is these are chemical resistant gloves. These are nitrile gloves, yet my hands are burning right now. Must be a really strong chemical, the fact that they're going through chemical resistant gloves. So just be safe when you use it, guys. As I've been beekeeping, I'm really starting to notice the difference between a new queen and an old queen, and whether they are good genetics and bad genetics.
It could be either one, but what I'm noticing is this hive is not building up at all. And if she was born after the summer solstice, I know she would be exploding right now. So either one, she's an old queen that I got from that guy out of that nuke, or it's just bad genetics, either one. But yeah, so I checkerboarded this a while ago, and they are still not building out these frames. Honestly, she's really slowed down because she only has, like, she's only been staying over here, and then she sometimes makes it over here. So I'm gonna condense all these frames together. I'm gonna put only one frame from the build out and put the other ones on the outside for now. And I'm gonna give them one frame that I stole from hive number 4 over there that is currently becoming honey bound. So that ends up working out. But this will give them a little bit more strength because it does have brood on it and it has a lot of honey on it. So if not though, I will have to condense this down into a nuke for winter time because something that's big like this that doesn't have all the frames built out and they don't have enough food stored is just not gonna make it.
So we're looking at 5 mites in that one, so not bad, but I will need to blast that one with OA once that comes in. It absolutely amazes me the difference between genetics though. Like the commercial strains, they cannot withstand mites whatsoever, so it just shows you how much we have been propping up weak genetics, and we're pretty much domesticating our honeybees. Like, I don't think that's a good idea because that is going to trickle down to all of our wild bees, and then it's going to become a point where in order to pollinate all of our food, we have to manage it, which that is not what we want. So it's just insane just seeing how weak the commercial strains are when it comes to varroa mites versus some of the other breeds that have been bred for mite resistance.
Because yeah, this one's not that bad, but all of these ones that I got as nukes from that commercial guy, yeah, they all are going up pretty quickly versus my Saskatras only go up maybe by like 1 or 2, or they stay the same, or maybe they go down 1. But all of these, yeah, they're going up. They're more than doubling because as you can see, I only had 1 before, now I have 5. So it's just insane how fast they can breed. Alright, so I'm going to try to show you this. Hopefully you can actually see it. So do you see that little dot right there in the middle? I'm sorry it's like shaking so bad. It's so hard to like hold the camera up and hold it steady. That little dot right there, that is a female varroa. She's shaped like the other varroas, but she's a little bit lighter colored. I'm happy that I got one, but you know there's more in there.
Always double, triple, quadruple check for the queen because you do not want to alcohol wash your queen. And easy like that. Alright, so I'm happy to see that at least one of those colonies is doing good. There was only 1 mite that I saw. Sometimes more drop down, so I usually try to check it multiple times and make sure I shake it up really good. But it was originally at 0, so 1 is pretty good. 1 is really good.
So what I noticed with this colony is when I got in here, I saw that on one of the frames, there was a cell that had an egg in it on the bottom of the frame. So it was a swarm cell. So what I did is I took out one of their frames. Well, first I checkerboarded out the entire bottom box so that they're more spread out and they're like, whoa, we have all this room. Oh my gosh, we can't swarm yet. And I moved one of their built out frames up here. Now these, I had already moved up here and they already started building out that one, and that one. So they'll almost have this box completely built up, but This is going to be my way of swarm prevention, so I'll check on this again in a week just to make sure that it worked. No wonder they're trying to swarm. Ha 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 ha. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And one of them's a female. Yep. Not fun. Oh, hi. It looks like I squished a bee. Have you guys ever seen this? I feel so bad that I ripped its bottom body off. But bees still function without their lower half. I'm sorry, girl. And once again, just to put in perspective how much genetics matter, you see that? That was only a month ago. And now they've like pretty much quadrupled. That is just outrageous for sure.
So I am checking on my last hive over here. Well, actually, wait, this isn't my last one. I still have one more that has to mate. But I'm checking on one of them that has to mate over here. Number 19. And guess what? We've got eggs. Not sure if you can see, but yeah. Ugh. Alright, the only thing I don't like about this suit is, I know why it's there, but there's a Velcro thing inside the hat. It's to keep it in place so it doesn't slide off your head. But it tears my hair out every time. There needs to be a better design. I don't know if there's something else you can use. I don't have a solution of what you could use, but if you guys see this, humble bee, fix it. But so I figured I'd show you guys how my colonies are doing. I figured you'd like to know how my mite levels are, so I'll show you. So like I keep saying, you can definitely tell the difference between colonies that are Saskatras and colonies that I got from that commercial breeder, and you'll see. So the first ones are ones that are Saskatras. So we got 3 mites. 1, 4, 6, 7. This one I haven't done yet because they got requeened. This is my 60 count that I had gotten. Also one of the nukes I got. 14, 2, 14 again, 11. The rest of these are all my nukes that I bought from that commercial breeder. 11, 6. This one has a virgin queen. 10, 1, 13, and then here's my original 3 hives that I've had the past 3 years. We've got 3, 0, and 7. This one has been very sensitive to a lot of things I've noticed, especially small hive beetle. I always see a lot of them in there, but yeah. So that's what we're looking like. I haven't tested any of my nukes yet just because they're still new and they need all the bees they possibly can get, and a lot of the queens just started laying or they don't have a laying queen yet. So but I will probably end up doing an OA vaporizer on them at some point, just because all of those bees did come from these bees over here. So you know the mites transferred over for sure. This bee that keeps flying around me is acting very pissy, and I would prefer not to get stung in the face again. So anyways, but I'm happy to see that a lot of my colonies are pretty low, so I will not have to treat those. And yeah, that's just how beekeeping is. It's a roller coaster of ups and downs and learning and making mistakes and all that. So with that, that is all from me, and I hope you guys enjoyed. So I'll see you guys soon.